Hello and good evening, everyone, or quite possibly good morning, whichever suits you. This is Silver-Quill welcoming you once again to a Fulfillment Friday where I try to make headway on a lot of things. I try to make headway on Patreon pledges, on the next video, on improving myself as a creator. And that's what I'm going to focus on tonight, trying to learn more in the art of Blender and 3D modeling. But before we dive into this, I want to give a shout out to all the folks who've come to hang with me, including Adam Leisman and MLP-Silver-Quill, Mary Drake and Cherry Fluffbelly Official, Pokemon Fire Eevee, Nikki W, who says they made it at last, and well, Nikki, no worries if you can't make it. We're glad to have you, but it's never a requirement. And Cosmona Inspira, welcome. MLP-Silver-Quill, I believe I said hello, but just want to make sure. Faithful friend, who I hope to see at Everfree Northwest. Champ to stay. You weren't here last week, and yes, I am making a 3D donut. It is a rite of passage. More on that shortly. And yes, Pokemon Fire Eevee, I have unlocked the third dimension. It is a strange and silly place. Seth Moss over on Twitch saying he'd be surprised if I do not make any puns. Well, that's just the icing on the cake, but on the whole, I'll leave it option. I'll leave my options open. That's what I'm trying to say. Oh dear. And Prince Apollo, you're currently on the road to a vacation with your family. Have fun and safe travels. And hello, Gaiety. Alrighty. Now, I almost forgot. We should get some pretzel going. Pretzel rocks. Little good background information. Background music so nobody's feeling... Oh, and how fitting. Abstract Progress is the name of this station. Oh, this is rather melancholy. Of course, you can't hear it because I haven't unmuted the music. Yes, somewhat melancholy. Oh, and welcome, Somehow Creative. Glad to have you here. So, how's my audio sounding compared to the music? I hope that they're doing respect of one another. Doing me a respect. Also, more people have joined in, like Nathan Duazo, Spectrum Scribble. Oh. Stuck at work for an hour. Well, whatever time you can share with us is appreciated. Then there's Gojaline 91. All right, and folks are saying this is a good mix. Good. Because once again, we're going to be having the input of the Blender Guru and his tutorials on how to create the donut. The donut is the rite of passage in Blender. It's something that can introduce you to all the elements, and then once you're done making it, you can say whether or not you really enjoyed the process. And so far, I have. Oh no, Enderpup, I didn't mean to forget you. So, please forgive, I'm glad you're here. You can help keep track of, again, if I keep saying, let's see. Oh, but everyone, I might seem a little out of sorts tonight. It's been a tough week. Not necessarily for myself, but for a lot of friends who are going through struggles, going through changes of life. And I just learned this afternoon, one fellow I know, he was having trouble with the feeling in his left hand. So he went to the doctors, they gave him an MRI, and there is something pushing on his spine to cause that loss of sensation, and recommended he do immediate surgery. So that's weighing on me. So please forgive if I'm a little out of it. I'm hoping to regain some spirit learning. But, can I just say 2024 has not had a lot of good luck. It's why I'm very thankful for the conventions I've been to Mad Munchkin's wedding. It has been, those are the anchoring points. Those are the parts that boost me up with positivity and enjoyment, because I get to see people celebrating and having fun and reminding me, you know, life throws a lot at us, but if you look and find stuff, you will, you can find reasons to keep going. Also, I want to share a quick story with you all. My dad gave me an O-ring last weekend after he went to a sermon. And I appreciate if not everyone is religious in the chat, but just hear me out on this one.
Unchanged from millions of years.
The reading was about the mustard seed, this little thing that grows into something greater. And the priest brought this into modern context, which I think is a very wise approach, talking about O-rings. These little rubber things, they don't seem that important. They're cheap to make, and you can get them anywhere. But here's the thing. It was an O-ring on the Challenger that caused that terrible destruction and loss of the crew. It couldn't adapt to the cold as expected. So the moral is, even the smallest thing, even something that other people may deem inconsequential or beneath notice, can be so critical. So if you're ever feeling small or ignored, really want you to remember that what other people perceive is not the truth. You have far more meaning and impact than you can probably know just by living. And I think that's an important thing to pass on to people. Hence the reason I'm quoting it, and why there's an O-ring attached to my keychain from now on. So, with that story, let us exit from Fulfillment Friday's Illustrator. I believe for the time being I can quit Illustrator, and let's make sure I only quit Illustrator, so that we may behold the true donut. My donut. All hail the donut of deliciousness. There we are. There's my 3D control. Now, those of you who were with me last week, you might remember I was trying to create these little icing drips. But it made a problem because the drip was going through the middle of the donut. It looked very strange. And I learned a few things. Well, what did I learn? One, that I'd simply been impatient. I tried to pull the vertices to the point where basically they were clipping through and creating that strange look. I needed to spread them out. And this is what all these vertices look like. And options. This rendering, I guess that's final render. What's this one? Viewpoint shading. Ooh. Ah, yes, when you set up. Now I'm trying to recall just how to view all them lovely vertices. Magnetic snapping. No proportional editing object. That's something I have to turn on and off. But gosh darn if I'm not seeing the wires, the vertices. They're not 3D. Oh, silly Silver. Do you need a refresher already? Quite possibly. Show overlays. Grid, scale, statistics, extras, light objects, yada, yada, yada. So this is why I probably should have done some stuff during the week, but by gosh, again, it's been quite the week. For harumph, I say. Harumph, harumph, harumph. Rounding box center. Closest center increment. Nope. 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 Let's see here. Let's just do a quick little search. Blender, view, vertices. To display, enter edit mode. Okay, that's probably what I'm doing wrong. Object mode, edit mode. There you are. Hello. So, where was it? Yes, right here. If I hit tab, yep. Now I'm remembering. So, you see here, I took these two dots, two vertices, extended them down here, extended it again. That's how you got a pretty clean one that didn't cause me any grief. So let's say right here. User perspective. No. Oh my goodness. I believe that V is the arrow. Whoa. Don't know what I was clicking on over there. Oh, but look what it did.
Eyes profound and enticing, draw me in.
Oh, hearing strange lady voice on the music. Oh well.
Consumes me. Forbidding desire, the strongest sin. I need to give in to my body's plea.
Okay, strange lady is now saying very tempting things, but let's leave sweet seduction behind for something else. There we go. Now, come on. You are supposed to help me select a vertice and the space between vertices. Oh, who's spoiling me now? It's Trinary with a $1 donation. Much appreciated. Now, come now. I had this last weekend. Well, now you're just making me feel bad. Let's do a little bit of fallback.
Did you guys know that now we know? Did you guys know? Now we know how Blender functions and what?
Okay. Darn YouTube for moving its controls around as it's loading. That's very rude. Solidify, snap to face, snap, apply the subsurface modifier. Hiding and unhiding, making the edge more wavy. Yep. Rounding the edge, making the inner edge hug the donut. Extrusion, here we go.
And it'll create a...
So, for those who don't know who I'm referencing here, this is the Blender Guru, who has a very celebrated channel and does a tutorial on how to, well, do all this fine stuff. So, let's see here. And the question, where did I get harumph? Cosmonator wants to know. Let's see here. I believe it was a show called Frisky Dingo, where they had clones of a rich businessman and very corrupt individual who could only speak in harumphs. Harumph. So I kind of picked it up from there. And Nikki W wants to know, what am I planning on working on that inspired me to try out Blender? This comes after Winnie City, when my friend Igor of My Little Ties really encouraged me to look into 3D printing. But in order to have some hand in actual creation, I need to know how to make 3D art, and he recommended Blender. Then my friend View chuckled wickedly because he knew that Blender does not have the easiest of interfaces, but we'll get there. We're learning. Oh, and been suggested by Sound Creative that I turn down the music a little bit more because it can get in the way. Alrighty. So let's revisit extending this
trail that goes down underneath the donut, right? It just sort of drips all the way down. Whoops.
Oh, the most furious drip.
So we can do that, but not the way we were doing it before. If we just took one of these points and then like dragged it all the way down like that, there wouldn't be enough information there, right? You can see you just get this like stretched look and it doesn't look great, okay? So essentially we need to give it more information, and we couldn't just do it by like adding more and more subdivision surfaces. We need to actually like break this shape here and create a new shape that goes down. So we need to extrude. So if I select this vertice and then the one next to it by holding down Shift, I don't think I mentioned it, but yeah, if you want to select two things at once, Shift select. Anyways, so if we select two vertices like that, we want to extrude it downward by hitting E. So when you tap E, it's similar to G in that you're in a placement state now, saying where do you want to place this? So I'm going to move it down to, yeah, like about there where I want the trail to stop, and I'm just going to do click, left click, and it's now placed it there. Now, it's hard to see it, but if I just switch to wireframe, you can see what it's doing. So it's created this breakaway shape here, an entirely new face that's completely separate to what we've got there currently. And what this means is if we go to object mode, you can see it's not just like continuing this form here, it's pulled it down, right? Which is exactly what we want. And in fact, I want it to go even further than that. So I'm going to select those two vertices, and I'm going to pull it down again, and then I'll do it again. And the reason I've done this 1, 2, 3 is that this detail here is important so that it conforms to the shape of the donut. Because if there's not enough, you're going to have that clipping issue that I showed you earlier. So that's pretty good. And now we're going to do it again. Originally in my earlier versions of the donut, I only did like one of these, but then I noticed that in the render, the final render, it's often the most interesting part of the donut. So now I'm thinking, yeah, just do it all the way around the donut. Just add the bit that looks cool. Add more of that. So here, so wherever there's essentially like a big dip is what I'm looking for. Like where the liquid would sort of build up and then like the surface tension there would be just too much and then it would break away. And then it would go down underneath like that.
This could be an after dark panel. Talk about modeling. Oh, the surface tension was just too much. I don't wait for it to trip over. Ah! Welcome to Silver-Quill's Naughty Juvenile Thoughts, aka college. So I'm going to do just a little bit more extruding. Now I've been taught again, E for extrude. Oh, but what's this? I seem to have grabbed an extra vertice without meaning to. Yes. Look at this. I also went out and bought 2 donuts for if temptation overwhelmed me, because sometimes the easiest way to overcome temptation is to give in. Oh, and this is something else. It may be a little hard to realize, but let's look at this from above. You see right, well, no, you can't see right here because again, the tutorial's right in the way. This is what I am constantly wrestling with. Move you up here for a sec. Right down here, it kind of bulges out, but I don't like that as much, like just not right there. So here's what I found last time. I'm going to select this whole bunch that makes this little bulge. Vertex. And where was it? Slide smooth vertices. It's going to look at its neighbors and it's going to say, okay, if I bring them in a little, this will create a smoother surface. And now there's less of a bulge in just that one spot. Don't get me wrong, the idea is for this donut to be not a perfect circle. But I'm rather pleased if it doesn't have, an unsightly section that any true culinary connoisseur would say, nope, that donut didn't turn out the way I wanted. And a little bit more extrusion. Yeah, I think that'll look okay. Komocho Steel, welcome. Glad to have you here. Lego theft, people are talking about in the chat. What's got to go? A lot of Lego theft last few months, and each of those rings are stealing sets and reselling them online. But from where are they stealing these Legos? I had not heard. I didn't know there was a Lego crime syndicate, but given all that Lego's been doing, I could see why. Seems like a silly thing to risk your freedom over. But then again, I don't know what might be going through people's heads. I do remember back in college when you all were probably might not have even been born yet, harumph. One guy refused to play Magic the Gathering because drug dealers would sell kids based on if they brought them Magic the Gathering cards, because those could go on eBay for considerable money. Now, honestly, I feel like that's not the fault of the game, but it is a disturbing realization how those scarcity of an object can have very dark unintended consequences. Well, Cage Black, Lego Crime Syndicate isn't a phrase I thought I'd utter today, but well, here we are. All right, it's time to move forward. Now, apparently the next part is actually something I'm really looking forward to, sculpting, as I've watched a few sculpting videos on YouTube. If ever there were a way for me to get a 3D Silver-Quill, this might be the way, but I have to learn first. So let's see what sculpting does. Despite the name of this stream, I may not actually get to the sprinkles, so do forgive me, Applejack, for I did not mean to be a fibber.
Congrats, you didn't give up, you made it to part 4, you clicked on the next part of the video. There's always like less viewers each video as you go down. So you're here, well done, thumbs up.
Thank you.
As you can tell by the title of this video, we're gonna learn about sculpting. But first, I should call out, if you have a problem with your mesh now, those problems can be amplified the further you go along. So it helps to do a technical check now, make sure you don't have any problems before we move along. So to look for it, go into edit mode. And first of all, by the way, if you can't see that middle part of your mesh, it's because you remember we temporarily hid it. So you can bring it back by hitting Alt-H, and that will bring back the rest of the mesh. And then we're looking for issues with the mesh. Like right here. So this is a really common...
I hit the wrong thing. I hit Blender. Blender? Blender, there you are. All right, Alt-H. Okay, well, I guess I've shown the hidden. Or I didn't hide them to begin with. Oh well.
Problem following this tutorial, because when you're projecting parts of the mesh, if it was like side on to the camera, it will project it that way, and then you can have like overlapping parts of the mesh. So that creates this artifact here, which will be exaggerated when we add more detail to it. So we just want to drag that back. So turn on snapping, and I'll keep proportional turned off, and then I'm just going to move this back over here just to move each of these points back. Another very common problem is you might have parts that have separated from your mesh. Now you can quickly fix this if you just like selected the point and then hit G to move it. When you're in that state, it's also snapping it to the mesh. Now you could do that all the way along, like select, tap G, then click, select, tap G, then click. But that's, anybody's got time for that. Let's make Blender do the work for us. So there's a tool that's just designed for this, and it's called the Shrink Wrap Modifier. So over to our trusty modifier stack, we're going to add yet another modifier. So add modifier. It's not under generate, it's under deform, which we haven't accessed before. New modifiers. Ooh, the one we're looking for is shrink wrap. And first of all, hasn't done anything because it needs to know what the target is. What is the mesh that we're shrink wrapping our mesh to? So with this little eyedropper tool, you can see when you've clicked it, my cursor's changed to an eyedropper. And now if I hover over objects, I got the name of it. So I want to click on the object that is the donut, and now it's snapped to the donut and made it worse. Why, Andrew, would you make us do that? Remember, the order of your modifier stack matters. So the reason this happened is because we've done it after the solidify mod. So if it works top to bottom, we want the shrink wrap to happen before any of the extrusion happens. So now that it's there, it's correct. And this is what it looks like before, and this is after. And it's subtle, right? And you'll probably see this across your mesh, like little subtle changes where maybe it just separated off the mesh, which wasn't quite a perfect alignment, but this will just correct that. So great, we don't need this here now. We can just apply it because it was just a once-off operation, and now all our mesh should be perfectly flat. And assuming you haven't got any other issues going on, again, make sure you use my Discord.
I will say I appreciate advertising, but I can't speak to his Discord. On Cage, where's the apply? Duplicate, apply. This modifier operation is not allowed from edit mode. Oh, okay. Oh, object mode then. See if I care. Ah. Yes, Mary Drake, it is very odd that we're basically saying a lot of things that don't come up in normal conversation. The Lego Crime Syndicate. Snap to the donut. Wonder what... well, last weekend it was Light the Monkey. I'm having a weird time. Just saying.
Can help out. All right, so we want to do some sculpting. Now, why do we want to sculpt? Well, because if you look at reference photos of donuts with icing on them, you'll see that icing is obviously a liquid, and liquid does weird things. One of the weird things that it does is that it will pool in certain areas. It's not like a uniform amount all the way on it. So the most obvious being like at the end of this trail here, there would be more that would accumulate at the end there. And I think the reason for it is that because it's a viscous fluid, once it runs out of enough fluid, there's not enough to kind of push it forward, but there's enough for it to build up. So you would have like a buildup here on each of these ends, but you would also have buildups all along the edge. And you can see it in reference photos. Like here, we've got this like clear, was it like a glaze? And basically the areas there where it looks whiter, that's a thickened area. So we essentially want to replicate that across our donut. So we can't do that currently. Like if you go into edit mode, we don't have any mesh to work with because the...
Now, you may have heard some rustling as I pulled out my own donut, but I'm afraid thanks to fine Colorado heat, it has already started to melt. So, well, I guess I'll just have to take his word for it and consume that after the stream. Nom, 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 nom. Trinair, you're saying that I like to steal from Lego Batman? I have to remember how that starts. Anyway. Oh boy, triple heat for triple digit. Not good. Not good at all.
The extrusion, the thickened part, is happening via this modifier. So we need to make the modifier real. So again, we're just going to apply it. Drop down, apply. Now in edit mode, we have that part of the mesh to work with. So we could, if you wanted to, come in here and like select the points that you want to add, a bulge to, and then very carefully come in and tap G and then,
this is indeed dietary related, the battle of the bulge.
I've got snapping turned on, turn that off. Pull this out, right? And go like that and go, yep, there's a little bulge there, but that's very tedious to first select a point, then tap a key to move it. It's very tedious. So that's really like you just need to use another tool to do the job. So edit mode is one tool, and it's good for like very precise things when you need to get precise things. But for more like organic shapes, more freehand stuff, that's where sculpting comes in. So at the top here, we've just been flipping between object and edit mode, but the one underneath it is sculpt mode. So when we go into that mode, you'll see that we have on the left-hand side all of these tools that appear. And I mean, this isn't a sculpting like tutorial, really. We're just really going to scratch the surface, but they do different things, different sculpting things. Like let's just use the default tool here. Can't really see much happening. Let's just turn up the strength and the size of it. Like it just pulls out that part of it. And even that quick little one stroke, imagine if you had to select each of those points and pull them out one by one. Like that's why this tool is the appropriate tool for this kind of job, right? Because it's very quickly going to enable us to add lots of complex shape. Very cool. So the tool that we're looking for is actually, it's this one, the inflate brush, which is just conveniently the I hotkey, inflate. By the way, if you want to change the size of brushes in Blender, I mean, you've got these ones here. You've also got the strength slider here, but there is a hotkey just to change the size of the brush with cool. F. So F to change the size of the brush, and you just pull out with your cursor to make it bigger, and then pull in to reduce it, and then do a single left click to confirm. You can also change the strength with Shift F. So Shift F, pull out, click, and then Shift F, pull in, click. Anyways, so if I was to draw...
Also, if you would like to pay respects, you can press F. Still, that's cool. Well, I have no idea what that just did. Should probably actually listen to the tutorial before I mess around.
Or on this, you can see that I'm inflating that edge. I can also inflate here. But you very quickly realize, like, look at that. Look at that. What is that, right? The eye is going to see that. It's a pro tip. Your eye is like, if you're going low res, don't go low res for things that are round, because your eye is very quickly going to spot low poly things. Actually, just last night I was playing Spider-Man, the Miles Morales one, and there was like this coffee cup that was on a table, and then you walk, and it looks fine, like as a background asset, but then part of it, the mission, you had to go up and read something on the table, and you had to get close to this coffee cup, and it was like 8 vertices. It just looked like almost looked like a nut on a wheel of a car, right? Just like that jagged. So, anyways. What I'm saying is this is a rounded form, so we need more information. We need more detail to sculpt on. The reason this is jagged and the reason there's not enough detail here is that just even though we have a subsurf modifier, a subdivision modifier, it's applying it after we do the sculpt mode. So when you're in sculpt mode, it's still just using your raw mesh here, and then it does this as a secondary step. So if we want to sculpt into this detail, we need to apply this. So I'm going to use more than one. I'm going to use 2 because I want to have even more detail. So importantly, by the way, if you're applying a subdivision modifier, even though you've got 2 levels here, it will always use just the viewport. So your render amount here could be whatever, but when you hit apply, it's just going to apply whatever is in the viewport. So I'm going to go 2 levels and hit apply. Now look at this. Whoo. We have 16 times the detail because we had level 1, which would be 4x, a 4x multiply, and then 4x of 4x, 16. So we have 16 times the vertices to play with. So now when we go into sculpt mode, look at it now. When we...
I confess I don't really track the math very well.
Sculpt. Look at that. So much more room to work with and much more fun. So now that I'm in that state, I'm going to just do little circles with this brush on each of these points here. And the reason I'm doing like little circles like this is that by default, the stroke state is, space. You can switch it to airbrush if you want, and then you can just click and hold it there. But I find that to actually be like harder to control. So I just keep it in space mode and then just do like little circles. And then that enables you to just kind of continue adding more pressure as you move your mouse. So a little circle like that. And there you go. Very quickly, already we have a more interesting looking shape across it. So another brush, another tool, I guess you call. Is it a brush or is it, I think these technically are called brushes. But anyways, another one that you use all the time is grab, and conveniently it's the hotkey G. And what this does is just like pushing clay with your finger. It's like eh, 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 eh. It's really cool. And the reason I'm doing this is I'm actually just exaggerating the design. Because that is what makes appealing design. It's exaggerating the addition and subtraction that you see in a shape, even though in the real world you might not see this like tapered thing like that. Because it's got this bulbous end, you want to draw more attention to that kind of globule at the end there. And to do that, yeah, if you just make this a little bit tapered using this tool, it can do that. And we get to learn about a new tool in Blender, which is the whole point of this tutorial. So, yeah. All right, pull this around, Just click and drag. I can change the shape, size of the brush with F. And you've got more time than me, so maybe make this better than what I'm doing really quickly. But just get, generally a shape like that, and it should look a little nicer. Okay, so now let's do that raised edge all the way around.
Now, one thing I noticed is that as I'm doing this, I may accidentally pull this away from the donut underneath because we've already applied. The filter's not there to make it work again. So we might reapply a filter. I'm not sure. Let's just keep going for the moment. Oh yes, I should turn off grab. There we go. Inflating like my ego. Whoa. What happened to you? Look at this guy. It's like someone hit it and gave it a big old lump. I must have accidentally touched that. Let's see here. Blob, layer, crease. Is there a deflate? Hang on one sec. Wow, look at that. It's almost like a nose. Or I've created a unicorn. What do I call it? A No, that does not sound right. Unicorn donuts. You know what? I can't think of something that doesn't sound like a NC-17 joke, so I'll leave it up to all of you. Well, that didn't work. Vertex. Well, I'm gonna have to deal with that for a moment because I have no idea what I did. Let's go back to sculpting, see if I can. I don't know if there's a inflate. Is there a? Oh, smooth. Let's see if smooth will save me. Hey, not bad. I mean, not perfect, but not bad. And then what has happened to the top of my donut? Well, I guess it's okay. That was strange. That was very strange. Pokemon Fairy V. Perhaps it was better just to do a Command Z, but I don't know. I don't know at what time in the process I created that inflation. Oh, now I sound the stock market. That be all we need. The stock market traders going, I just don't know what went wrong. I mean, I'd be laughing, but then I'd realize people's livelihoods were at reach, and that probably wouldn't be so funny. See, look at it. That's just swell. There we go. Oh, trying to envisioning Derpy as a stockbroker. That's right. Oh, M. Hollis 1989. You've known some things about Blender, like hold the shift to turn any brush into smooth. That is good to know. Thank you.
An artificial paradise.
Okay, it's trying to influence the icing. I appreciate. Why is this icing not moving? There we go. Meanwhile, creepy, energetic, but somewhat creepy music is talking about paradise. Honestly, the only two times I've heard about talking about paradise and not being worried about who's speaking was Wolf's Rain, the anime, and Dot Hack, where they described a sort of slum for abandoned netcode as paradise. Oh, I did it. I did it again. How is this happening? I do not know. Okay, but we're going to follow M. Hollis 1989. Apologies. So I'm holding shift and just going around my problem child. There's another phrase I didn't think I'd say today, but hey, let's just roll with it. Shall we? Right? Oh, well, maybe that's a little too much. Oh, but that is nice. Oh, I need to change the radius. Gotta be tiny. And again, like the guru said, just pressing F. Now I wonder if I go to the other side. Yep. I must be grabbing the wrong vertices and accidentally clicking through. How vexing. But still, all part of the... Oh, hold shift. All part of the learning process. Whoa, not that smooth. Not so smooth that it goes through the blessed donut. Oh, right now I sound like I'm starting to cult. All hail the blessed donut. You know, one funny thing about this week is that I started checking out, I stumbled upon something positive from the past old Mork and Mindy episodes, but mostly Mork calling Orson segments, which was sort of an early Dear Princess Celestia, if you catch my drift. But I also saw Mork as doing a, what would I call it, Street Prophet bit. And he's, of course, it's Robin Williams, so he is just hilarious. Ah, Robin Williams, take it. I'm sorry we couldn't help you heal the way your laughter helped us. I feel like that should be a social rule. If you see someone who's really, really funny and brings a lot of laughter to people, odds are they could use some positivity and humor themselves. So just make sure to show them some general kindness. Oops, okay, that's too much. I like this sculpting. I mean, I was never great with clay in class, but boy, I'm enjoying this 3D version, perhaps because it gives me greater control. And plus, I was a kid at the time. I mean, what are you? Oh, you're the smooth tool. Greater control. I was just a child, and children are not known for deft control. That's something you build up. Plus, it was only in the 6th grade. 7th grade? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Middle school sucked. Christopher Titus, Mary Drake, says that Mary Drake quotes Christopher Titus that comedians are very high damage. Oh dear, Trinary, that's a mighty fine teapot you got there while you talk about the kettle. Oh, he done got me. He got me good. Also, let's just move this back to its original position and save what I've done, because, by gosh, I'd be very sad if this went kerflooey. Oh, now, I haven't done much with this fellow. But for the record, Mr. Trinary, I am doing my best to keep spirits high, partly by doing this. I mean, I get a little charge off learning new stuff. And this is part of how you learn. At least I'd like to think so. Alrighty, now, what do you got next for me, go guru?
Around the rim of this. Now, in previous versions of this tutorial, I said just use the inflate brush, a shape like that, and it should look a little nicer.
A little nicer.
Okay, so now let's do that raised edge all the way around the rim of this. Now, in previous versions of this tutorial, I said just use the inflate brush and then just like draw across it. The problem with this is that this is so imprecise, and you can accidentally like draw over another bit, and then you look at it side on and you get these like noticeable like divots across the donut. And it's not very, it's very hard to do because you keep like accidentally clicking off it and then on it, and you get this like jagged like dig. It's not very appealing, the point is. So let's go back. We can learn about another tool. It's another excuse to learn about another tool, and that tool is called the mask tool. So it's actually in the list here, but I never remember what it is. It's just hit M for mask, and it's this one. And what this enables you to do is, if you just draw on it,
down here,
you get this grade shape, right? And then when you're using another tool, like say you switch to the inflate brush now, and if you draw over this, let me just increase this.
Okay.
Yeah, if you drew over this, you can see it's applying an inflation to everything except the area that is dark.
Okay.
And that's how you can create like, you know, a
Okay, but now it looks like that thing's got lips. Very scary lips.
skin lesion on a zombie or something like that.
Oh, that too.
So a mask is very useful in sculpting, used a lot, and we're going to use it in just this case. What we're going to do is mask out just this area along the rim there, and then we're going to apply a constant inflate value to just the area that we've masked. So first use the mask tool, mask, and it doesn't really make sense to use like a half opaque mask, so we're going to set the strength all the way to 1. And then I'll use a brush size about here. So essentially, where do I want the inflation? Like, do I want this much inflation on the rim? No, probably something about here. And then I'm just going to paint a darkened value all the way across it. I just want to make sure that it's, you know, fairly even. Doesn't have to be completely perfect, but fairly even across it. And I obviously don't want it to be in this part because that, you know, the liquid has flowed all the way down and it's broken the trail and it's gone down there. So I don't want any raised area there. And again, I apologize if this was like tedious, but it's a way to learn Blender piece by piece. Okay, here, hey, speaking of which, I forgot. With the sculpt tools in Blender, for whatever reason, it has assumed by default that you might want to sculpt on the other side of your mesh. So you can see I've got this smear here, and that's because somewhere I was painting over here, I went through the mesh and it painted on the other side of the mesh over there.
It's true.
Very annoying. So I can undo it. It's just easier than like repainting that whole thing. And what you want to do with your mask tool is underneath brush, set it to front faces only. And that means when you paint, it should mean that...
Brush front faces only? Face sheets, mesh. Front faces on. Okay, that probably was also what was going on with my sculpting attempts. Why I was creating angle down here would hit over here with now my upside down done it. See, so if there's a bulge right there, I'm assuming I was trying to bulge here. Wish I'd known about that at the time. Oh well. Live and learn. Here you go. So I'm just drawing a mask around. Might say it's a masquerade. Here we go. Almost there. Here we go. Just following the trail. See, right about there. Now I'm a little confused, but I'll see what happens when I just follow the process. If I'm masking this, I thought it seemed like it would say nothing can influence what has been masked. But he's relying on it to somehow change the edge. So, let's see what he has to say. As you draw, it could still happen, just be careful. But it should happen less. It shouldn't happen like on the opposite side of the same mesh. Anyways, it should happen less. By the way, I didn't call it out because it's not essential, but if you do ever want to isolate and only see the selected object, / is the isolation mode. So / on the number pad or the actual normal keyboard will pull you in out of that state. Okay.
Anyway, so now with the mask brush, with front faces only enabled, I can paint along it, and it should happen less, essentially.
Those
All
look
right.
like
I don't know what to say.
Well,
But this doesn't take long once you've set it up. And assuming you've got the strength of 1, by the way, you don't want to have areas with like half opaque, right? Because we want to have a constant value across it as we inflate it. And we should get a nice raised edge that goes all the way along the donut. Okay, great. Just clean it up if you got any areas that look a little untidy, a little unkempt. Yep. Awesome. All right.
Well, now here's a question. What do I do if I... Oh, Shocker27, you too want to get a donut. I understand the temptation is with me as I work through this thing. I'm just wondering about unmasking. But good to have you here, Shocker27. Let's think here for a minute. Control I, or I guess for M. Hollis says use Control I for inversion. I'm a Mac user, so I'm assuming it's Command I. Page info. Maybe it is. Maybe it is Control I. I don't think that's doing anything. Oh, well, there's a little something. But I'm just looking to trim the edge, so to speak. So if I use Alt, I don't know what holding Shift did there. What? I mean, masking in Photoshop is a little different than this. Options. Fast navigate. Nope. Nope. Sorry, M. Hollis. Right now, I'm just relying on my wheeled mouse, which was a very welcome gift from my friends Sweetie Bloom and Trinary. But so I could just use the eraser on the stylus. That's good to know. But what could I do? Blender, unmask. Hold Shift or press M and B. That doesn't sound. Invert mask, fill mask, clear mask. Clear mask A? Nope. Or Alt M. Oh, well, that just gets rid of the whole blessed thing. Lasso mask. Nope. A tip. To clear the mask of areas with the lasso mask, first invert the mask, okay? So that's Control I. And then the shortcut is Shift Control left mouse button. Shift Control. Nope. I'm trying all sorts of button combos here, but it's not quite working. Let's not give up. They see me rolling, they wheeling, Trinary's making song parodies. Oh, God, gee, if only I could give donuts to those who remind me to save. It would be a great way to say thank you. Mask filters, expand mask, mask extract. Alrighty, let's see here. Apparently there's a menu for masking. Sculpt. Ah. Oh no, that didn't quite work the way I wanted. Sculpt, box trim, lasso trim. Can I trim this away? Oh dear, I'm getting the spinny beach ball of doom. It's just spinning and spinning. I think I may have ventured into God's domain. Now, this is an appropriate time to talk about where do you guys like to get your donuts whenever you have them. I get mine, if I can help it, from Lamar, or better yet, a place called Voodoo Donuts. They do some really great stuff. All right, well, I'm not doing very well on this. Maybe I should just carry on my wayward son and see if he says there's a way. Smooth mask, sharper mask, grow mask, shrink mask. Huh. Oh, well, that's just a general shrink mask.
So, as I mentioned, the mask will actually mask out the area, so you can't paint on it. We obviously want to only paint on the area that we mask, so we want to invert it by just hitting Control-I, same hotkey as Photoshop, etc. And then,
now I get
obviously,
what,
if we went to the inflate brush and then we just painted, like, yes, we're only...
Oh, now I get it. I think I get what M. Hollis was really trying to tell me earlier. Sorry, I completely missed, but that's a good rule. Control always inverts whatever tool you use. So wait, if I'm using the mask tool and I hold Control... Ah. Oh, that is... Man, that's a good rule, Hollis. Is it okay if I call you Hollis? I'm not sure if that's copacetti. But that seems like a good rule to say at the get-go. Control will be your friend. Okay, now I think I'm starting to get a clue. I had a friend earlier this week who said that he's often the teacher, but I sensed an unwillingness to become the student, and that's a very burdensome view, I think. To never be the one who learns, that sounds horrible. Just horrible. Now, like I say, I like learning new things because then I get to do stuff like this. Just keep on expanding, I guess. Oh yeah, that's just swell. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, Dunkin' Donuts, also a good option. Also, a welcome over on Twitch to Ravenclaw the Wolfnix 62. Wow, that is an excellently long name. And I'm hoping the chat is doing well. I'm doing well. Hope you're doing likewise. Okay. Yeah, I think this is causing the quote swell. Oh, right around here is where I need to be. Yo-ho-ho. Oh, I sound like Brooke. Yo-ho-ho. I think that's as much of a Brooke impersonation as I can do. Otherwise, next I'd be saying, "Can I see your panties?" At which point, don't hit me like an anime character, just call the police. It's faster and simpler. Yep. Here we are. Okay. I believe I have succeeded in following his instructions. This kind of looks like, I don't know, a chocolate and white frosting donut right now. I'm feeling very hungry. So very hungry. Let's see here. Oh, I said it. Oh dear. As long as I don't get a swelled head, says Mary Drake. Well, Mary, I'm sorry, we're too late on that score. Oh, shocker. If I'm Brooke, who is my Laboon? Who would I weep for joy seeing again? Does Ruby, the puppy I dog set, count? I mean, I'm sorry, but sometimes I feel such a great swell of joy just seeing a dog. I got to pet a golden on Thursday. Oh, I felt so happy. Just a golden with their owner by a coffee shop. Dog sees me and starts going woof woof. And on any other dog, I take that as a signal to stay away. But on goldens, well, it's still good to be cautious. But I asked if it was okay to pet her, and it turns out the dog was saying, "Come over here and pet me, please." Oh boy, Elizabeth Snowbell. Once I get this donut town, you want me to graduate to a burger? Boy, I bet that'd be challenging. And you're right, Mary Drake. I do love the floof of a golden retriever. JT Wusky fan, hello. It is sort of a glazed donut right now, but my gosh, I want to add some sprinkles. Let's see what the tutorial says from here on.
Only now painting onto that area, but it also doesn't solve our problem of like different values across it. So we want to apply a uniform inflation on just these areas. So there is a tool in the Sculpt tools called, where is it? Mesh Filter. So I will be honest, it's probably the laziest implementation of a tool in Blender. Like, mesh filters, they're not really well documented. You kind of have to just learn how they work. But unlike all these other brushes here, the way this one works is it's applying a uniform value to the entire mesh. So it doesn't actually matter where you click on the mesh, it's going to apply it. And it's applying what is in the filter types listed here. So if I just click, this is the other thing you have to learn. If I drag to the right, I'm inflating. If I drag to the left, I'm deflating.
Okay. That looks frightening, but I shall do my utmost. Now, where is this sucker? This is different. Did I miss him switching gears on me?
Mesh filters, they're not really well documented.
Okay, where are you hiding, mesh filter? Elastic, deform, crease, blob, layer, clay, strips, clay, draw, flatten, fill, scrape, multi-paint, scrape, nope. No. Boundary cloth. Simplify. Jeez. Oh, good lord. There's more at the bottom. Actually, I just scrolled to get to the bottom of these options. Box mask. Box hide. There you are. Mesh filter. Boy, sorry, that took a while. So if I just click and go, ooh, look at this. Look at this. Arrgh, I'm the blob. Oh dear, that went wrong. Now this is where I want to try and put some Hollis's instructions. So if I hold Control, nope, it's not doing anything. But if I, whoa, oh, well, I guess I just have to undo. There we go. Ultimately, it all comes down to a nice subtlety. Okay, that's better. But part of me did love the ridiculousness of the blob. The blob.
You kind of have to just learn how they work. But unlike all these other brushes here, the way this one works is it's applying a uniform value to the entire mesh. So it doesn't actually matter where you click on the mesh, it's going to apply it. And it's applying what is in the filter types listed here. So if I just click, this is the other thing I have to learn. If I drag to the right, I'm inflating. If I drag to the left, I'm deflating and sort of subtracting the opposite direction. You just kind of have to learn that that's how this specific tool works. My theory is, by the way, to go on a rant, ZBrush's user experience and interface is so arcane, so badly hodgepodge together from ideas over the last 2 decades. They never had any thought in the process. They just lumped it all in there. And Blender's sculpting tools competes with that. So they're like, hey, yeah, the filter tools, yeah, they're not the easiest to understand, but at least we're not ZBrush. That's my theory. It's my working theory I'm going with. But anyways, point is now that we're in this, you could...
That's just a theory. A brush theory.
See, we're applying a uniform value to everything. Hooray for us.
Hooray indeed.
I might also, I'm going to set the strength of this to 0.1, and that just means that as I move the cursor, it's applying less of a value for the movement, so I can use smaller movements. The other thing though is this is a little like, it almost looks, if we go into object mode, it looks like a tube almost around the edge of it. It's not very nice. It basically, the edge that we've got here is too hard, so we can smooth out that edge by using mask, smooth mask. Okay. Now, if we use the inflate,
He might be going just a little fast for me, but then again, I'm also playing with odd objects. Here we go. Mask. Smooth mask. All right. Oh, and of course, the smooth mask command is right in the corner where his overlay is. Ah.
right, just towards to the right a little bit. I'm just going to go with that. Let's go object mode and see how that looks. That's pretty good. I might actually go just a little bit more, just exaggerate it slightly more. There we go. Great. So yeah, that's roughly it. Now there's a little bit of artifacting there because the way the mask works is it's kind of that feathering thing. It's not very exact and it's kind of got some values in between it. So we can smooth that out in sculpt mode by first of all just clearing the mask and then using the smooth tool by default. And I'm just going to smooth that edge and that'll just sort of clear up some of this artifacting. It's a little high, so just turn it down and cool. By first of all just clearing the mask and then using the smooth tool. By default it's too high, so just turn it down and I'm just going to smooth that edge and that'll just sort of clear up some of this artifacting. It's a little too high. For whatever reason, the smooth tool, which also you can access at any point when you're in sculpt mode just by holding down shift and it'll temporarily...
See, Hollis had it. Hollis said it way before. So props to Hollis. You supplied the important information. and probably saved me a great deal of trouble. So, I thank you. By default, the strength is a little too high, he said, so we'll just smooth it to about 25%. See, this is what I appreciate when people share their knowledge. Feels like this is what the internet was supposed to be, not what flame wars and political agendas have turned it into. I mean, I guess in some ways you could learn about politics, but not through arguments. Just statement of view. I will share a reading I had this week because I was wondering why conservatives why they seem to actively resist personal pronouns, in the sense of, if a person says I prefer to be referred to as she or her, why is the conservative viewpoint to push against that? And I read this article where at first it seemed to be very much in favor of letting people choose their pronouns. For in America, is not self-determination one of the very important goals as sanctified by our Constitution? But then the writer started to invoke the book 1984 and the idea that if you dictate reality, it becomes a slippery slope to greater transgressions. And that's why they should not do so simply. And I thought, well, hang on. One, the slippery slope is a fallacy. You don't know that this is going to lead to something worse. I could argue just as strongly that not honoring a person's pronouns leads to even more boldness in denying personal rights and freedoms. So I'm not going to accept a slippery slope argument. And two, I don't see how affirming a person leads to a degradation of American values. If anything, a celebration of the individual, an honoring of the individual, I consider to be one of the most American things one can do. We place a lot of emphasis on the individual. Maybe sometimes too much, but at the same time, a respect is due. So I was not swayed by this person's writing. And for the record, I will screw up because I'm human, but just remind me and I will do my best to use the pronouns you prefer. Gaiety, you're talking about the Tuesday night Nintendo Direct, where we got to see, let's see, what did I witness? Legend of Zelda, actually starring Zelda, Metroid Prime 4, Super Mario Brothers Ship. What were some other things I saw? Hang on, I'm trying to remember. I'll tell you one thing I've been surprised by. Xbox seems to be getting the short end of the stick on a lot of releases, like the Capcom vs. Marvel collection, not available on Xbox. And I don't understand. Okay, Swordbreaker 12, you're right. Zelda CDI will never count. Most Zelda fans will reject that wholeheartedly. Evangelion 007. What are my thoughts on Metroid 4 Beyond finally being a thing? To be honest, I was fascinated by Metroid Prime, but I guess just at that time in my life, I wasn't as interested in a first-person exploration game. So I never really got past the first Metroid Prime. But I know that it is deeply loved. It's a great exploration game and would never want to deny people that. So to give them something new to to grab onto, and have an antagonist who looks very much to be Samus's equal and opposite. I think the people will derive a lot of enjoyment from that. JK, I didn't see the Tomb Raider trilogy old game, so that's good to hear. The older games, I'm assuming back when Laura first hit the scene, and not the reboot versions. Also, JT Wesky fan, I won't give spoilers, but I did see Inside Out 2 on Tuesday night. Rather fitting. And I loved it. I thought it was a fantastic movie. It features some great puns that also tie into personality development. And even some great visual metaphors. So, it has my hearty recommendation. Anyway, let's keep going with the smooth brush, see what they say.
Invoke the smooth tool, and it'll use the value that is on the smooth tool. So you'll be in this mode, and then you hold down shift, and it'll actually not use this value, but the value that's on the smooth tool. Again, ZBrush is the competitor, so some things are a little weird here. Anyways, so it's a little too high. Just turn it down, and now I've got a nice value. And I'm just smoothing this out to just clear up some of the artifacting.
JK, I have seen Genshin Impact. Good lord, you go into a Kinokuniya bookstore, a Japanese bookstore, and you can't escape all the characters. And what would I call it? Waifu roulette? See which waifu you get as you unbox? I've never played the game, but boy, do I see its impact.
All the way around.
All the way around, all through the town.
But I've learned some very complex modeling and some sculpting. So congrats, you've made it this far. Why not continue on the series? Click. This is where we finished at the end of the last part, and we are ready for some materials. Before we continue, do a check over though, because I looked inside my donut and I saw this.
Oh, okay. Very subtle,
which shouldn't
sir.
be here. Obviously, before the one thing we the first part. Okay, so materials. Let's do some materials.
But yes, I would say Blender Guru is quite an excellent teacher and is going through this in a very approachable way. So yes, please do go subscribe to his channel. Although with 2.94 million subscribers already, I wouldn't be surprised if many of you have already beaten me to the recommendation. Oh, sorry, a little yawn there. Like I say, it's been a week.
We jumped into our render mode, that little button that I showed you on the first part that takes you into rendered view mode. You can see we've got a lamp and it's lighting our donut in a very depressing, cold gray. So let's give it a material. Down here, the little material tab, and then we're going to hit new. So just like before, the one thing we're going to change.
Okay, but what? I don't know if he's going to address. I've got these strange. Oh well, smooth tool don't. I've got this very strange shading right here. I don't know if that's just the computer not keeping up. All right, but he said material, particles, physics, constraints, data, material. New
is the color. Let's make it a nice pink color. And that looks pretty good. The other value that you typically want to change for a lot of objects is the roughness value. So you can see the further I go all the way to the left-hand side, the more it becomes a mirror. So all the way at 0 is basically a mirror. And then all the way to the right is your most porous object, like a brick or something like that. Basically something that looks like it doesn't have a reflection, although everything does. The roughness is just merely dissipating that reflection everywhere, so it appears as though it doesn't. But anyways, so we're going to go with like a 0.3, something like that. It's pretty good. And then for the base of our donut, we're going to give it another material, and let's go with a nice orangey yellow, which we will change later on, so it won't matter anyway. Well,
hang on. We're going to object mode. I will give you le material. Base color, a little bit yellow, a little bit orange, a little bit more orange. Little burnt. I do so hate spitball in this. Let's see here. Roughness, maybe a little bit more rough. Oh, but I'm still not digging these. The shading under looks so triangular. Raspberry donut. Okay, yeah. Yep, y'all are looking quite drooly at the moment. Nathan Duazo, why would I mind you staying a while? You're very welcome here. But you know what? I wants me a chocolate donut. Give me chocolate. Now we're talking. I mean, pink is all fine for dressing, but nothing beats a good old chocolate donut, in my opinion. I wonder if I went to sculpting and I smooth this out. Yeah. Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's just see what he has to say, and worst case, I just have to smooth it out some more. Yep, I've got folks drooling. I am sorry, everyone. I am messing with your taste buds.
But that's good. Great. Look at us. We've got a donut. By the way, we'll add some subsurface SSS later on to make this look a little bit more milky, but for now, this is good. Now, we want to put our donut onto a marble countertop. So first of all, we need that countertop as a separate object. So Shift A, and the one we're looking for is again under Mesh, and we're going to go with a plane. So a plane is just a square that's literally made up of 4 vertices. It's the simplest object, but the most versatile that you use it all over the place. And I'm gonna make this look a little bit bigger. So let's just scale that out with S and then click. Okay, so we wanna make our donut rest onto the countertop. So if I selected my donut base and moved it up.
Don't go faster than I can move, matey. Nope. We're putting it dead center. And then oh, now this I can tell will give nope. Oh, what have I done? There we are. Okay, render you. Move. I just want to move on the Z. It's funny. I thought if I held the Z, it would. Good. Let's really get in there, make sure. Well, if they aren't properly connected, I don't think I've done a good job then. Dang it all. How can I just move this in the one direction? I just want to move the X value. Oh no, don't delete it. You silly Billy. Okay, I've clearly got to practice moving things. That's a bit of a bother. See? There we go. Okay, that took far longer than I would have liked, and it's still wrong. Okay, you know what? Scale. I'm just gonna scale you. If I hold the option button, will it scale just one side? No? Shift side? Nope. There we are. Or not. Hell, at this point, I don't care. There you go. It's not centered, but I'm going to go with it.
Well, there's a problem, right? We need to have both of these move together. So if you want to have one object basically attached to another object while still being its own separate object, you parent it. So the way we parent it is, first of all, you select the object that you want to follow the other object, so the child, and then you select the parent. So holding down Shift, I'm going to now click on the donut base, and then to parent, it's Control P. Okay. Or again, if at any time you don't know what it is, just hit F3 for search, and then we can just type in parent. Now, by the way, with parent, you get a number of options here. The one you actually want is keep transform. If you just do object, it means if you've ever moved the object like off its base or whatever like that, it'll then like clear its position. So it's actually not the one you want most of the time. So it's keep transform. Now that I've done that, if you've done it in the correct order, you should be able to select the base and then move it, and the icing should go with it. If it doesn't, it means it's probably parented the other way. So again, make sure the object you want to follow, the other one, is selected first, and then the parent is selected last. Okay. So now I'm going to move that up along its Z-axis. So G, and then just a middle tap.
Okay, let's just make sure I'm doing this right. Ooh, look at that! Look at it go! It's the entire donut. Huzzah! I'm going to undo that because it took me enough time to get it on the plane.
And pull it up till it's resting on my counter. Haha, lovely. Now don't worry about this looking like cartoonishly bad in terms of realism. I'm going to show you a button later on, which is just going to make this look phenomenally realistic. That's going to be in some later parts.
Right, I do have snapping on.
But for now, this is fine just whilst we work and piece the scene together. So for our countertop here, we need to give it a new material. And then underneath the base color, you can select not just a color by clicking the color, but the little dot next to it, that little yellow thing doesn't look like a button, it is. If you click that, you get this this pop-up, or pop-down in this point, which just gives you a number of options. And the one that we're looking for is image texture. So essentially, it's replacing that import from a flat color to an image texture property. And it's now black, and it's asking you what image texture. So we need an image texture. Now we could go to just Google Images and just find any old marble texture, download that. The problem usually with textures on the web is that what most people call a texture is not ideal for 3D. Most textures are good for websites, but for 3D, we need extra information to tell the 3D software how the material property looks. Like, how does it reflect light? What do the bumps look like across the surface? And all that information is never available on these sites. So to find those textures, you have to go to a separate dedicated website. And the website that I recommend is Polygon. And the reason I recommend it is because it's mine. It's my website.
Oh, you sneaky devil. All right, Polygon. Let's open this in a new tab. Oh, I have to create a free account. Don't really feel like creating an account on all this. Also, forgive me a moment while I check my phone. Just need to make sure if there's been any word on person. No, not yet. Okay, let me just send in a quick text to see how everyone's doing. Yeah. And the updates. Oh my goodness. Let's just keep going with the tutorial for a minute. We'll see what...
That's why I recommend it. No, I started it 8 years ago because I was pretty dissatisfied with the quality of the texture websites that were available at the time. So I used my YouTube money to invest in a team and some high-tech equipment. We went out into the world and we scanned stuff to a very high quality standard. And over the years, we've grown it to include models and HDRIs as well. And obviously, a lot of this stuff is paid, but we also have a free range. And obviously, we're going to be using a free texture for this part.
Sweet Christmas. I appreciate how dedicated this fellow is, and I mean, he must have a great love of just, well, how else can I put it? A great love of 3D rendering and the creations therein. But I'm not feeling right now like setting up a whole account and download textures. Maybe just for now, we'll leave it at this, and then I'll do some stuff after the stream. Whoa, what's this? Oh, okay. Still not sure what I should do about this weird triangular shading right there. How strong is my rig, M. Hollis? Let's take a quick look. System settings. Apple ID General. Okay, so I'm using an iMac. 3.6 gigahertz, 10 core, Intel Core i9. Graphics are an AMD Radeon Pro 5700 XT 16 gigabyte with a 64 gigabyte 2667 megahertz DDR4. I just read a bunch of numbers and I don't really understand what they all mean, but I'm pretty confident in the strength of my computer just to see what's what, to be able to handle the resources. But if it does crash, I'd rather that happen offline after the stream. That way I can figure out, well, what am I going to do now? And not potentially lose the stream. So everyone, thank you for hanging with me as I work through this here donut. And yes, Enderpup, you all right? I must save to make sure well, it's trying to make me save my stream. I'm in the wrong window. Whoop. Saving the donut.blend. And this, I don't mind saying, this looks like a dang tasty chocolate donut. Dang tasty. Let's see here. We're going to fade out the music for a minute, and we're going to switch back to regular setup just so, well, I wasn't able to get to the sprinkles as I'd hoped, but I'm very pleased with how this has turned out and what I learned in sculpting, as I think that's where a lot of my efforts will reside. But we shall see. We shall see. So I might call it, I call it a little early tonight. It's been, boy howdy, has it been a time. Oh, man. What was I trying to say? Please pardon me. I'm very happy with how this has turned out. I'm very grateful to all of you for hanging with me. Are there any questions I can answer before we call it good? I've also checking in with friends to see how tomorrow is going to unfold, and if my bud who is in surgery, if there's been any updates. Ooh, Jay Yoshi, your first donut was chocolate dough with peanut butter frosting. Man, they set the bar high for you. Haven't played the game Cult of the Lamb, Enderpup. That's a very, honestly, that sounds a little scary. Cult of the Lamb. And here's Anthony C., who, if you haven't been to Anthony C. Cannon's channel, actually, you know what? Let's just... There we are. And he was in half. Let me show. Anthony's an excellent example of what we can do with just even an introductory power. But I need to check my Discord. I said I need to check my Discord. Oh, that's to you screens. Discord. Where are you? Come back, Discord. Over here, Discord. Thank you. Anthony showed me a clip recently, so I will show this to all of you. So here, you have a YouTube video within a YouTube stream.
So, of course, the Union drops in to discuss its dues, and Gordon must abscond to develop his anti-grav pitching skills in Spookyville for a while. Oh, and hey, here's where we finally get the shotgun, Hammer. Hammer? Hey! Hey, Hammer! Hammer, we finally got the shotgun!
That's nice, child.
So yes, all that was done with Blender, and Anthony did an excellent job in a very short time frame. So kudos. So I hope I can do something like that soon. Also, if you have not subscribed to Anthony C's channel, please do, because it's an excellent time with wonderful insights and humor. So there we go. There's my plug. Blender Guru has gotten me several times, but yo, Anthony Cannon, I can dig it. Yes, Nikki W. Anthony Cannon is Anthony C. or Cosmologic. There we go. Almost said Inspira. No, Cosmologic. So magnificent all around. And yes, Anthony, I am the dreaded Mac person. Evil Mac user. Swordbreaker 12, my admiration for Anthony C is very much canon. All right, but it's a trip. I'm going to look into these free textures. I'm going to look into the health and status of my friends. And we're just going to roll with it as best we are able. Linux or get out. Well, I've got to get out, I'm afraid. So everyone, apologies that this is just a little short than usual, but I've had a good time with y'all, and I wish you all just the best weekend. Take it easy on yourselves. Remember what I said about little things mattering more than people often give them credit. And that includes if you're ever feeling small. Please don't. You have greater meaning than you could know. Remember the O-rings. So, until next time when I will show you more of 3D rendering, and maybe then I'll get to those double darn sprinkles. Be safe and be well. I'm Silver-Quill.